Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Cinderella phenomenon. And we're, I guess, in Rod's route because we're trying to go down his path, so we chose him in the last part. Now we're living in the castle again. We're like a maid! Yeah! Moving on up in the world. But he still hates us! Of course he does. It's gonna take a while to win him over, I'm sure. I soon come to realize that it's easier to walk around town now that everyone's forgotten who I am. The atmosphere around town feels brighter. All the spiteful stares are gone. Princess Emeline!
Oh, how are you doing? Is your wife feeling better?
Emeline has responded to most of the people who know her. She seems to know a good majority of the people in town. I hang back as Emeline speaks with the man. The night escort hovers somewhere nearby, watching for disturbances. So here's my curious thing, right? Like, I know that Spacey's been a bitch, but the city, everyone hates her so much. Why? She never leaves. Is it because she never leaves the palace and like, well, we never see her? But I would feel like you'd be indifferent, like, okay, whatever, you're the princess, what ups? You know what I mean? Then be like, hatred, ah! Why do they hate her so much? Like, what's the fucking deal? You know what I mean? I think it's because of her mother being a witch, because someone said something, oh, a witch of a mother, and it's like, so they hated her mom? But that's no reason to hate the kid. I mean, aside from the kid's kind of a bitch, but I feel like the hatred of people hating her started kind of before she became a bitch. Because it's not like she went out into town and was always like, I'm a princess and you're just a commoner. She just never left. She never left the castle. So, like, how could they hate her? I don't understand. So I'm kind of curious about that. So, like, what the hate's all about. Like, did she really do something? Or, like, I don't know. I hang back as Emeline speaks with the man. Okay, yeah, the night escort hovers nearby. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, we read that. We're going to take longer than an hour if she continues like this. I'm not going to rush her. Don't you need to return to the palace to continue whatever work it is that you were doing? Rod raises an eyebrow at me. I do have to get back to my studies, but my family always comes first. If this makes Emeline happy, then I'll gladly come with her to town. It's a small thing. Happy? I look more closely at Emeline. She is smiling, but then she always smiles. I do not understand. She's more at ease talking to the townspeople sometimes because they don't judge her. Why would she have to worry about being judged? It's clear that everyone adores her. Emeline takes the man's hand in hers as she wishes him well. Rod points out the gesture. See that? That's goodness. You could learn something from my sister, Spacey. Is goodness pretending to be interested in the lives of strangers? No, goodness is actually caring about the lives of strangers. But look, some of us aren't built that way, and we're just like, look, if you want to tell me, that's cool, but otherwise I'm not going to ask, like, seriously. What? I don't know how to be a people, okay? I'm not really good at being a person. Emeline eventually says her goodbyes before walking toward a familiar store. This is the toy shop I visited with Emeline and Rod before. I glance at Rod and notice the expression on his face. He seems conflicted. But why? Before I can ask, Rod marches in front of me and decisively pushes open the door. When I enter, Emeline is already hugging the shop girl, Viorica.
Emeline, you look as beautiful as ever. Oh, please, I look the same. You, on the other hand.
Emeline steps back before nodding, a bright smile on her face.
Being in love suits you. When's the wedding?
Wedding? She's already engaged? I catch a small movement out of the corner of my eyes and turn to glance at Rod. I notice his fingers clench into fists before he quickly hides his hand behind his back. Oh my god, was he in love with her? That makes me sad. Though his expression is as impassive as always, I notice a tenseness in his shoulders. Desmond!
Desmond and I haven't set a date yet, but it should be soon. Would you...
Viorica trails off when she notices the rest of us.
Hello, Rod!
Viorica. So that makes me sad. If he's in love with her, then we're down his path and his, like, it seems like And then we're gonna, what, steal him away? Ouch. Damn. I'm like, why would he love us when we've been a raging bitch the whole time as over, like, you know, the girl who's been nice the whole time? I don't know. His tone is surprisingly static. Last time he was here, I was sure he sounded friendlier.
So what can I help you with, Emeline? Looking for another doll?
Another doll? But Emeline is not interested in dolls.
Oh no, I'm just here to see you. I can't stay for long since Rod has things to do.
Emeline, I'll wait for you outside.
Oh, okay.
I know it's my job to follow Emeline around, but I'm not at all interested in hearing her talk to this girl. Does she even want me here? We'll stay with her because we're supposed to. Before I can decide what to do, Emeline has turned to look at me with a smile.
This is Spacey. She just started working as my personal maid today.
It's not like you to make a maid follow you around. Emmeline's expression quickly becomes apologetic.
I'm sorry, Spacey. I realized you didn't even ask. I realized I didn't even ask if you wanted to come with us. I just expected you to tag along.
Why is she apologizing? I'm meant to tend to her regardless of where she is, unless she dismisses me.
I'm sure Spacey doesn't mind. It's such a beautiful day today, after all.
Emmeline turns to me and smiles. I don't know what to do, because I feel like we should go outside to be with Rod, but at the same time, he's like, what are you going to do, make fun of my sister? And he loves his sister. It's like, shh. I feel like we should do our duty and stay with her until she lets us go, but I want to go outside and I want to follow him, but I almost feel like that could be the wrong thing, because, you know, family's number one, and, like, if we don't do our job, he's going to get pissed at us for not following his sister. I don't know. It's really fucking difficult. I don't know what to do, guys. I really fucking don't without a guide, so we're gonna fuck this up so bad. We'll probably get a bad ending, but...
You don't have to wait with me if you don't want to, Spacey. I won't be long. I only wanted to see, Viorica for a bit. I haven't been able to see her as often since I've moved.
Well, that's to be expected. Princesses shouldn't be associating with shop girls like me. Viorica has a point. Why does Emeline insist on this?
But you're my best friend. I'm still not accustomed to the fact that I can't just visit you every day.
Those were the good old days when we were still neighbors.
I'd still live next to you if I could.
She doesn't want to be the princess. She's unhappy.
Do you remember all those games of tag we used to play together when we were children? Remember how Rod always lost?
So I think that's it. Like, that's great. Her mom's happy, but now she's a princess, but she can't be with her friends and she can't have a life, and she was happy with her life. So, like, we're gonna have to, like, soothe her and be like, it's okay. It's okay, girl. It's okay, girl. The two girls laughed together at the shared memory. I tried not to roll my eyes. So they were all childhood friends.
Are you sure there's nothing I can help you with?
We all turn to the sound of the door chimes as a customer walks in. Excuse me?
One moment.
Vioria turns to Emeline with a guilty expression.
I'm sorry, but I have to take this. No, it's all right. I'll come see you another time. I promise we can talk for as long as you want next time.
Emeline smiles and hugs her friend in farewell. I follow closely behind Emeline as she exits the shop. Rod pushes away from the wall that he'd been leaning against once he notices us leaving. Ready to go. Emeline nods with a small smile. The two of us begin to make our way to the palace again. By the time we return to the palace, evening has fallen.
I hope we're not late for dinner.
The minute the carriage doors open, we're greeted by two familiar faces. Sir Alka and Sir Mithros stand before us. Princess Emeline, Prince Rod, I was on my way to look for you when Sir Mithros informed me of your whereabouts. He glares at the knight escort and the knight shrinks back. Sir Alcaster turned sharply to me afterwards, his eyes narrowed. Why is he looking at me like that? It's getting late, and the Queen was worried.
I'm so sorry.
Princess Emeline, Prince Rod, it's almost time for dinner. Please let me escort you inside. Yeah, I gotta get him a smarmier voice. I don't know how to do it. Sir Mithros,
Sir, let me escort you inside.
He's evil, you know he is. He is some kind of witcher fairy, he so is, with those fucking, with those plum bobs on his ass. Sir Mithros gestures for them to follow him. I'm about to follow after them when Sir Alkester suddenly moves to block my path. His eyes are cold. He opens his mouth to say something, but then closes it and shakes his head. You are dismissed, girl. You may go back to your quarters. But that is an order. His gaze is piercing. Even when I was the princess, I was not able to stand up to that gaze. Yes, sir. After dinner, I make my way back to the room assigned to me. As I walk down the hall, I notice Rod heading in my direction. Rod? He suddenly grabs my arm and pulls me away down the hall. Where are you taking me? Rod does not answer and just continues moving until we reach an unfamiliar door. What is going on? Rod cuts me off by placing a finger on my lips. He looks around warily before finally pulling me in through the door with him. This place... I've heard of this place before, but I've never seen it. Is this the secret passage that leads into town? Rod doesn't answer me. He simply keeps walking, and I see no other option but to trail after him. How is it that you know this place? He still refuses to answer. Are you deaf? Rod suddenly stops, and I bump into his back. I stumble back with a scowl. You ask too many questions. Because you refuse to answer any of them. I glare back at him until Rod makes an exasperated sound. Lady Parfait is the one who told me about this passage. It makes sneaking out of the palace easier. Parfait? She did not give me any explanation as to how she knew of this place. There are only meant to be 2 copies of the keys. The king has one and Sir Alkester has the other. Then why do you have a key? Don't tell me you stole it from the king. I'm not a thief. Lady Parfait also has a copy. She saw fit to provide me with a key for my own use. What? How does Parfait have a key to this place? You'll have to ask her that yourself. Once we step into town, I realize where it is that we're headed. We're going back to the Marche. Delora is the first person we see as soon as we enter the Marche. Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. Delora, you... Rod's glare silences me. He steps forward and points back at me, gaze icy. She's not staying at the palace. What? Delora raises an eyebrow. Why's that? She works there now. I do not know what game you're playing, but I'll not be part of it. Excuse me? This is not a game. I do not want you meddling in my life as you meddled with hers. The room's temperature drops several degrees. Delora stares at Rod, her expression suddenly lacking any emotion. With all due respect, Your Highness, I do not want to meddle with your wallowing. But just because you don't wish to break your curse, doesn't mean that others shouldn't want to either. You should be humbled that our princess here thought you would be able to help her. Rod raises an eyebrow. Where's Lady Parfait? Of course you want to talk to Parfait, because she puts things nicely. Fine, I'll fetch her for you. Delora curtsies as she sweeps out of the room. Rod sighs. He clearly looks irritated, but he doesn't put a voice to his agitation. Now that we're alone in the empty room, the silence is deafening. So I ask him the question that's bothered me since we came here. I feel like we should not ask him about his curse. I feel like he's already mad at us, so we should just... Easy question. The further away you are from my family, the better. I glare at him. Your reaction is completely unwarranted. I'm trying to make up for what I've done in the past. Only because you're being forced to. Why should that make any difference? Besides, I'm still willing to help you break your curse, even though it appears you don't want to. I do not realize the anger inside of me at first, and then I notice that my hands are fists and that I'm shaking. You're angry at me for treating your family with unkindness, and yet you don't treat me with any respect or kindness either. Excuse me? I realize that this is the angriest I've felt in a long time, and it makes words fall out of my mouth. You're guilty of the same disrespect you hold me accountable for. We're both being cruel to family, aren't we? Rod's eyes are ablaze as he stalks toward me. He stops right in front of me, his mouth pressed into a firm line. He's like all angry and aggressive, but I feel like they should have made him older than us or something, like whatever. Because He's like younger than us, but he's like all angry, and you're like, but you're so cute. Like, you're so adorable. I can't find you intimidating. Like, I don't find you intimidating at all. There's no intimidation in the angriness. You're just like, aw. Could be also the little bunny on his shoulder. That doesn't help either, but you're so fond of telling Emeline we do not share any blood. The only thing pulling us together is the king, and you don't share his morals. Remember this, Spacey. You'll never be part of my family. That's not true. You're going to fall in love with me. We're going to get married. And I'll never see you as a sister. True. You won't see me as a sister. You're going to see me as your wife. Boop. I mean, it's an Otome game, right? I mean, I kind of don't want you to see me as your sister if we're going to bone later, because that's just creepy. But Rod storms out of the reception area just as Delora enters. Sorry, looks like Parfait wasn't in. She pauses, then gives me a wry smile. Seems this partnership is going well. I throw my hands up in anger. He's infuriating! Not as helpful as you thought. I was surprised you were asking for his help in the first place. All I've been doing today is following around Emeline, and he still finds reason to snap at me. In his eyes, I can do nothing right, even though I'm making an honest effort to break my curse. Delora eyes me as she slides down into a chair. He told you anything about his curse? Nothing useful. Delora sighs. Boys can be so secretive about the silliest things. Rod has been aware of how to break his curse from the very beginning. Then why hasn't he broken it? I have no idea. I think the only other person who knows the full terms and conditions of Rod's curse is Parfait. Parfait? Parfait has known Rod for a while. She convinced him to keep coming to the Marche even after he gave up on breaking his curse. But why did he give up? You know, was it like he gave up because he's like, it would be too impossible? Or like he doesn't want to because, you know, like a sister would die or something? You know what I mean? Like, what is it? I guess we'll find out. Curious. Parfait also thinks that working with you will convince Rod to try finding another way to break his curse. Another way? Don't ask me. I don't know much about his curse either. But if you keep trying, you might convince Rod to talk. I doubt that very much. Seems that all I'm doing is convincing Rod that I don't deserve to break my own curse. Delora looks at me curiously for a few moments, then she grins. I have an idea. If it's another terrible idea... Oh no, this one's much better. I'll just stick around with you. You know, watch out for you. What? Delora? Watch out for me? Stop flinging this shit at me, what is it? I'm surprised when Delora suddenly stands before me in her doll form. There's no way you and Rod are going to sort yourselves out without some kind of help. So I'll be tagging along. It's much easier when I'm travel-sized. Why do I feel like she'll only make things worse? Come on, then! Delora somehow manages to jump in the front pocket of my apron, which is thankfully large enough to fit her doll body. Let's go find a prince and get ourselves back to the palace. One step forward, 2 steps back. 3 steps forward, then I all of a sudden fell off a cliff when I fell backwards. It's been more than a week since Rod and I returned to the Marche. He's been avoiding me ever since that day. Not that we have much cause to be around each other nowadays. Constantly on my feet preparing for Emeline's ball. This is ridiculous. Better to be busy than bored, princess. I stop for a moment to better balance the pile of fabrics that I'm carrying. One of the maids has ordered me to bring this to the designated room so that it can be sorted out. I'm being reduced to fetching and carrying. I've made no progress in accomplishing my first good deed. I doubt that simply following orders from the other maids will help me get my first good deed. I feel a shuffling in my pocket and then notice Delora peeking her porcelain face out. Better to obey rather than disobey, at least. You're not going to get a good deed being stubborn. Anyway, you've got to put yourself out there a bit more, princess. You can't just do whatever is convenient for you. That's not good. Delora has been no help at all. Wait, I recognize this place. Isn't this where your room is? I stop in front of the door to my old bedroom. Ever since I came here, I've been ignoring this room, not wanting to see what the king did to it during my absence. Do you not want to go in? Why should I? It's not as if it's my room anymore. Oh, you're no fun. Aren't you curious about how it's changed? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. I guess a little peek wouldn't hurt. I step into the room and close the door behind me. It's like stepping into the past. The room is exactly as I left it. It seems completely untouched. Moments later, Dolores is standing before me in her human form. It looks like someone's been dusting in here. Strange, considering no one should remember who this room even belongs to. I glance around, eyes wide. Everything looks the same. Fritz remembers us. I put the fabrics that I'm carrying down on my bed and make my way to the shelf where my dolls are displayed. My eyes pause on a specific doll. This one was not here before. Dolores raises an eyebrow. Maybe you just don't remember that one because she wasn't very memorable. You do have a lot of dolls, after all. No, I know each of my dolls by name. This one is definitely new. She looks very similar to the dolls I saw at Viorica's shop. I quickly turn at the sound of the doorknob. My eyes move to Dolores, but she's already turned into a doll and tucked herself in a corner of the shelf with the rest of my dolls. Emeline stands in the doorway, eyeing me curiously.
Spacey, what are you doing here?
I made a mistake and thought I was supposed to bring these fabrics here. I hope she doesn't see through my lie. Emeline shakes her head, smiling.
It's not your fault, Spacey. You're still getting used to the palace and its many rooms. I got lost here all the time when I first arrived, too. This room is interesting, though. Father expressly ordered that it be kept clean, but otherwise undisturbed.
Why would he say that? He did love her. Oh.
He won't say why, but apparently this room is very special to him. Maybe it belonged to someone he cherished.
Cherished? What a joke. Still, I cannot help but feel hope at her suggestion.
I don't think Father would like either of us being in here. Oh, we should leave soon. I only came here to put a ribbon on one of the dolls.
One of the dolls?
Yes, I put one of my dolls here.
She walks past me to pick up the doll I did not recognize.
I bought this.
I know Emeline always visited Viorica, but I didn't think she liked dolls. She always preferred receiving and buying books. So why does she have this doll? Do you like dolls?
Well, I mean, I don't mind them, but I don't usually buy them for myself, no.
So why did you buy this one? Emeline looks at the doll with a sad smile and shakes her head.
I'm not sure. I bought it as a gift, I remember that much. I was going to give it to someone who liked dolls. Someone I wanted to befriend.
She was going to give it to us before we disappeared.
I don't know why, but it feels right to leave the doll here until I can remember whom I was meant to give her to.
Emeline is silent for a moment before she turns to me with a bright smile.
I know you have a delivery to make, but could you come with me to the palace entrance first? Mother is still busy talking with the cook, so the fabrics can wait.
I resist the urge to glare at her. She better not be dragging me around to do yet more errands. You'd think at this point, like she's kind of hateful and angry, but you think, so my father kept this room, like he doesn't understand why, but he needs this room to stay the way it is. And she put a doll here and she doesn't understand. God damn it, girl, be like, wait, maybe they don't hate me after all. I mean, not like, ugh, you guys suck. You think you'd have a little bit of a crack in your foundation, you know what I mean?
I'm expecting a delivery and I might need your help.
I thought so. I have no choice but to nod. Of course. I begrudgingly follow Emeline toward the entrance, and there I see the delivery carriage. A familiar person stands beside it.
Viorica!
Emeline pulls Viorica into a tight hug. I turn my attention away to glare at the number of boxes at the back of the carriage. I'll no doubt have to help carry them inside.
How are the preparations for the ball coming?
Emeline's smile seems forced at first, but then eases into something softer.
It's going well, I suppose. How about the wedding?
Desmond and I have finalized the date. It'll be 2 days after your ball.
I can't wait to see you in your wedding dress.
These two always talk so much when they get together. I ignore their chatter as I walk up to the carriage to observe the boxes piled inside. What's in the boxes?
Oh!
Viorica reaches out to grab one. She hands it to me.
I'm helping with the ball decorations. I came by with part of the order today.
Part of it?
Careful, it's a bit heavy.
I take the box from her hands and nearly stumble. This is heavy. Emeline should have the male servants do this.
Queen Ophelia placed quite a large order. I brought the more fragile decorations first. Oh, the glass baubles and vases?
I grit my teeth as I shift the box in my arms in an attempt to make it easier to hold. I thought you worked at a toy shop.
Yes, but we also have aisles dedicated specifically to party decorations.
What kind of a toy shop is that?
Spacey, will you be all right?
I feel annoyance simmer within me. I'm obviously not all right. Emeline reaches out to help me with the box, but she's too late. I've only taken one step forward, but the box slides and I stumble. I manage to cradle in my arms, but its weight is too much for me. Before I hit the ground, I feel strong arms around my waist, pulling me back upright. The box is taken from me. Fritz? Oh! It's actually Rod. Oh, hello. He saved us. My heart and mind are racing, and for a moment I cannot comprehend what just happened. Are you all right? Rod? I glance to the side and I'm shocked to see Rod standing there. The expression on his face gives nothing away, but with our close distance, I can see some flicker of emotion in his bright eyes. Concern? Am I?
Spacey, I am so sorry. Are you okay?
Rod pushes me and I stumble forward, almost tripping on the ground. He raises an eyebrow at me. Know your limits, Spacey. Tell him off. Stay silent. Tell him off! Stay silent. We're not going to tell him off we need his help. Girl, be nice. I clench my fist and take a deep breath and try to calm myself. I'll not stoop to his level. He's the one being cruel here, not me. You shouldn't have stubbornly tried to carry something that was too heavy for you. I'll not take responsibility if you get hurt.
Rod, you shouldn't be angry with her for trying to help me. It was my fault for giving her something so heavy.
Viorica, what are you doing here? Rod's voice is still cold. Viorica looks startled by his tone.
I only came to deliver some of the decorations for the ball.
And you thought Emeline and her maid could carry these things on their own?
Rod, this is not her fault. I'm the one who chose to bring Spacey with me. I underestimated the size of the delivery. Viorica was just delivering the supplies.
At least she admits her mistakes. Never thought Rod would be so stubborn. Emeline's expression softened as she looks at her brother. She looks sad. Rod ignores her and picks up the box that I'd been carrying. He begins to walk away before he suddenly stops and glances back at me. Come on.
Rod?
We're going to call some servants to carry these boxes in. He turns around and begins to walk away. I'm Emeline's personal maid, not his. I glance at Emeline, who nods her head.
I really am so sorry. Thank you for helping my brother, Spacey.
I curtsy ever so slightly before running after Rod. Rod, wait. He picks up his pace as if trying to lose me. I turn the corner and barely stop myself before running right into Rod's back. What now? Why are you so angry at me today? I've barely even spoken to you. Your mere presence is enough to darken my mood. I glare at him and cross my arms. Funny, you call me cruel, but right now you're worse than I ever was. I don't need someone who hasn't even managed a single good deed to lecture me. I have to try very hard to resist the urge to slap him. You're supposed to help me get a good deed. As I said before, I never agreed to this. I still refuse to help you. Rod starts walking again, and I hurry after him. I can't help but recall how cold he was with Viorica earlier. I thought they were friends, but he treated her like this at the toy shop, too. Why were you so angry with Viorica earlier? No reason. She's getting married to someone else, and he's probably in love with her. I raise an eyebrow when Rod quickly answers the question. He's a merman. Then you were cold for no reason. You have such a princely disposition. Rod frowns, but has no rebuttal for my words. You must be generally cold and unfriendly. Excuse me? That would explain why you treated Viorica as you did. I thought that you two were childhood friends. Viorica was always closer with Emeline than with me. We may have been friendly once. We've since become distant. distant. It's none of your business. I pause as we pass by my door, remembering that I left both Fabrics and Delora inside. I make my way toward the door and open it. What are you doing? None of your business. Enjoyed your field trip? I frown when I see her sitting on my bed in human form. What would you have done if it wasn't me? Us witches have a sense for these things. Delora? Rod slowly enters the room.
It's nice to see you here, Lady Delora.
I want Sebby to talk more. He's adorable. I know, I just gave him a voice, but it's like he's just a little bunny rabbit. He's so fucking cute. Nice to see you too, little Sebby. Why are you here? Delora shrugs as she inspects her nails. I thought I would help the princess here since someone doesn't seem to be very willing. Rod furrows his eyebrows at her. I didn't... Yes, I know. You didn't sign up for this. But do you really think you have a choice, Rod? Delora looks at Rod pointedly. You know the consequences if this fails. Rod looks away, expression conflicted. Consequences? What are you talking about? Consequences for not helping me with my curse? Rod sighs heavily before turning back to Delora. He does not pay attention to me. I'm not the right person for this. It doesn't matter what you think. The princess thought you were, so suck it up and do your job. Rod is silent for a few moments before he finally faces me, looking resigned. I'll help you then, but don't expect me to change my opinions of you. I shrug at him. It's not like I was expecting you to in the first place. Delora grins with clear triumph. Good talk. Rod sighs. In order to achieve your good deeds, you're going to need to mend what you broke before. I feel I already know what he's going to say. My sister has always wanted to be your friend, so you must do just that. Show her kindness and you may be able to get your first good deed through her. Show her kindness, huh? Delora decides to stay in my room for the time being, saying that she believes Rob will be able to help me for now. Later, I make my way to the dining room with the Fabrics and see Emeline and Ophelia inside. Spacey! I see you have the fabric. Thank you. Ophelia takes the topmost sample of fabric and begins to inspect it as Emeline walks up to me.
Where's Rod?
He returned to his studies.
Oh, right. He has history lessons today, and I'm yet to finish my history homework, which is due tomorrow.
As Emeline muses aloud, I ponder what Rod told me earlier. I must become Emeline's friend. But is that really a good deed? I hope Rod
didn't send the servants out before he went back to his room.
Or didn't forget.
I wanted to tell him that Viorica and I had already called on guards to bring the boxes inside.
Maybe he decided to start his lessons earlier so that he can make your dance lesson this evening. Dance lesson?
Father wanted to hire the best dance instructor in Angeal, but I honestly feel more comfortable with Rod teaching me.
This is going to be fun watching him dance.
He's a good dancer, so Father has allowed it.
That is a surprise. I did not know Rod could dance. He used to prefer singing, but then... Oh. He doesn't have a singing voice no more, because he's a little mermaid, right? But why... I'm really curious about his curse. So, what's the deal? I don't know. Ophelia trails off. I know that she's talking about the fairy tale curse, but I don't expect her to divulge such information to a maid like myself. He's decided to focus on his dancing for the past few months. Ophelia glances down at the fabrics, then looks up and smiles at me. Spacey, would you mind helping me with this? I obediently walk over to the fabrics Ophelia wants me to look through. They're all apparently samples for the tablecloth that'll be used during the ball. This is going to be a long day. Rod comes immediately to the throne room after his history lesson to start in his dance lessons with Emeline. I'm only standing here because it's my responsibility as her personal maid to watch over her as she practices. I watch as she steps out of rhythm and Rod sighs at her. You're doing it wrong. That's the 10th time. Sorry. Again. I start from the beginning, and I'm unable to stiffen my own sigh when Emeline messes up the same step again. This would make the 11th time.
I really am terrible at this.
Would you rather have the royal dance instructor teach you? He has more experience teaching than I do.
Oh no, I really do want you to teach me, Rod. I'm sorry that I'm such a slow learner.
She's normally the character we play.
I'm really bad at everything, but birds flock to me and clean my room for me, but I'm so terrible at life.
I mean, she's usually the MC. Like, she's usually the main character. Like, they're incapable of fucking doing anything. Like, I know she's cute and she's nice and she's sweet and she doesn't know how to dance because, you know, why would she have any reason to learn how to dance being like a baker's daughter? You know what I mean? Like, when she going to balls? Come on. I mean, I can't do the fucking waltz Caesar, and but it's not like, oh god, I'm terrible at this. It's like,
I'm so terrible.
It's probably just because I give her the chipper voice and it makes me like nauseous, but like, oh my god. I don't hate her. I'm just saying. It's like one of those like, oh god, you're like the typical normal MC that we usually play. Just can't, fails at everything.
I'm sorry, I'm such a slow learner. I don't know. You were always good at everything. Singing, dancing, cooking.
Prince Rod cooks?
Yes, Rod does cook. He's very good at it.
You didn't have to tell her that, Em.
Does it really matter? I love bragging about how talented my little brother is.
I see a tinge of pink on Rod's cheeks as he turns away. A tinge? His whole face is flaming red. It's hilarious. Is he embarrassed? Emeline looks down at the floor, her smile smaller.
I wish I was as talented as you, Rod.
I always thought Emeline was overly optimistic. She always seemed to bounce back with a smile no matter how many times I pushed her away. Now I can't help but reconsider that thought. Still, seeing her like this only irritates me. Pitying yourself will get you nowhere. Not everyone can be perfect at everything when they first start out. That's actually a nice thing to say, like, not everyone's perfect at everything when they first start out. You know what I mean? Like, don't feel bad. You'll get the hang of it. To me, that's like, I mean, I'm sure we said it in a douchey way, like, whatever. But, legitimately, I remember when Mother gave me similar lessons. She was always such a harsh teacher. She hated when I showed weakness in front of her. She made me keep practicing until I perfected whatever it was she wanted me to do. Failure was never an option. I never had time for self-pity. Instead of feeling sorry for yourself, just try harder. Let failure inspire you to do better. Spacey, that was...
She's right, Rod. Instead of complaining, I should be working harder.
And Rod's like, that was actually not douchey. Ugh. I let out an exasperated sigh and crossed my arms. You always look at your feet whenever you reach the underarm turn. Instead, focus on counting your steps and let Prince Rod lead you. Worrying too much on your next step is what puts you off rhythm. Emeline stares at me.
Can you dance, Spacey?
I can. Why?
Wow, that's amazing!
I mean, you know, obviously, because, like, formal dances, maids wouldn't have been taught that shit. There's nothing amazing about my being able to dance. Her praise makes me embarrassed regardless.
Maybe I could learn faster seeing someone else do the dance first.
I knew it. I knew when it was going to be a dance lesson, I'm like, we're going to dance with Rod. We're going to have a nice little CG, and he's going to be like, ugh, I hate you, but it's all of a sudden going to be like, but maybe I love you. Like, it's going to be that. There's going to be like a, I'm done with this, and he's going to storm off and get mad at us because he's secretly in love with us. He feels something in his heart. Feels his heart stirring. I don't know. What are you talking about?
It might be easier to copy the steps if I can have someone perform them first.
She turns to me suddenly, eyes bright.
Would you help me?
I meant to assist Emeline in any way that I can, but dancing with her brother? Surely a lowly maid should not be doing this. I feel like we should accept for her. Well, if I do accept, at least I can prove that I'm the better dancer than Rod. Besides, am I supposed to be listening to Emeline no matter how absurd her requests are? If that's what you want.
Really?
Emeline rushes up to me and takes my hand in hers.
Thank you, Spacey. I thought it might be an awkward request, but I'm so happy you've agreed to this.
I figured refusing would be bad. Agreeing would be like making her happy, and that's what he wants, right? Be my sister's friend, make her happy. I turn to look at Rod, who's glowering at me. I'm not dancing with her. She might step on my feet. Emeline gives him a disapproving look.
Rod, please!
Rod eyes me warily. I step toward him and offer my hand. Shall we? Rod scowls at me for a few moments before finally taking my hand. Oh, this is adorable. I love it so much. You knew we were going to get to see Jave with it. I put my hand on his shoulder and he places his hand on the small of my back. Rod looks at me but quickly averts his gaze. Is something wrong? I didn't think I'd ever have to dance with you is all. Neither did I. Rod looks at me again. This time he has an uncomfortable scowl on his face. He's not the only uncomfortable one here. Oh, love is blurming. Lurv is blooming. Lurv is blooming. I was trying to say lurv is blooming and I went love is blurming. Lurv. Lurv. We both start dancing and I mentally start counting the steps. It's been a long time since I last danced with anyone, but the steps come to me naturally. The dance is rather simple. While Rod and I move stiffly, I cannot help but notice his careful footwork. I realize that Rod is really a pretty decent dancer. Of course, I would never openly admit that. When we stop, I hear Emeline clapping her hands as she looks at the both of us in awe.
You really are a good dancer! Thank you so much for showing me the steps. Now I know for sure what to do during that part.
I just shrug at her before stepping back into the corner. Emeline takes her position in front of Rod once more. This time she has a bright smile on her face. I cannot believe something as simple as that made her so happy. At the end of the day, Emeline has managed to do the steps correctly. She tells me many times how grateful she is for the help. After practice, I return to my room and retire to bed. I think about how happy Emeline was. How could such a small thing make a person so happy? You stepped out of rhythm again, Spacey.
But Mother, this is really hard.
A princess never complains. You must perfect this waltz by tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll not allow you to play with your dolls for the day.
But
if you have time for objections, you have time to push yourself harder. Why does it look like her mother isn't wearing, like she's wearing just like a robe? Like, now, once again, from the top. It's like the first time we've gotten a little, Rod thing. The following days are uneventful. Emeline continues her dance lessons with Rod. Her steps are still far from perfect, but I can tell that she's improved since my demonstration with Rod. Meanwhile, Rod still chooses to ignore me most of the time, though I have noticed that he's less cold than usual. At least he doesn't snap at me for no good reason anymore. Though Delora is no longer assisting me, she insists on staying in my room more often. She says that there's something important she wants to investigate, and I can't even guess what it might be. I prefer not having her around anyway. Constant chattering makes it difficult to focus on anything. Right now, I'm still trying to figure out how I can achieve my first good deed. Almost 3 months have passed since I was first cursed. I've yet to complete my first good deed. These are my thoughts as I head back to my sleeping quarters after dinner that night. Emeline excused me long ago, insisting that I go to my own room before she went to hers. Walking down the hallway when I notice Rod heading down a familiar path. I follow after him. Are you going to the Marche? Rod jumps and turns around. The surprise in his face quickly fades into annoyance. Don't do that again. No, not today. Since I came here, I found out that Rod occasionally sneaks out of the palace at night through the secret passageway to go to the Marche. Even now, I'm still confused as to why he goes there. He said before that he had given up on breaking his curse, which makes me wonder why he still visits. It also makes me wonder why he would refuse to break his curse in the first place. Is he okay being the way that he is? Or is his curse just really difficult to break? Why are you cursed, Rod? Why were? I'm not answering that question. Why? I can't help you break your curse if you refuse to tell me anything. I told you before that I do not need your help. But I chose you as my partner. You help me and I help you. It's highly likely that breaking Rod's curse will also count for a good deed. Rod scowls at me and crosses his arms. I'm afraid that this isn't how this works at all. The sound of footsteps keeps me from coming back with a retort. We both turn to see Sir Alka approaching us. Prince Rod, good evening. Good evening, Sir Alka. Sir Alka turns to me and raises an eyebrow. Shouldn't you be attending to Princess Emeline? Rod silences me with a look. He moves to stand in front of me, shielding me from Sir Alkester's gaze. We were just about to go to her. Let's go, Spacey. Rod strides away, and I quickly curtsy to Sir Alkester before following after Rod. I can still feel Sir Alkester's eyes on my back as I walk away. I try my best to suppress a shudder. Rod and I walk through the hallway in silence. We both stop in our tracks when we hear the clattering of silverware. I look around and realize that the sound has come from behind a set of doors that's slightly open. Dining hall?
Oh, no!
It's Emeline's voice. We do not see Emeline when we enter the room, but there's a dizzying array of cutlery set out on the table. Emeline? Emeline surprises us both by crawling out from beneath the table. She flashes us an embarrassed smile as she gets to her feet, holding several forks and knives in her hands. We're going to help her so much to prepare for her ball, teach her princessy things, and blah, blah, blah. And then, he's going to fall in love with us because we helped her. And we're going to learn how to be good, or whatever. What are you doing here? You should be getting ready for bed.
Sorry.
I eye the silverware on the table.
I thought I could practice before I sleep today.
It's already been an incredibly long day for her, and she's still doing this? I watch as Emeline puts the cutlery back on the table in the wrong places. You need to rest, Em.
I will after I practice the placement one last time.
She smiles at him before returning to the table.
I don't know why a person would need so much cutlery. One fork, one spoon, and one knife should be more than enough for any meal. And all these glasses, if I recall correctly, this one is for water, this is for red wine, and this one is for white wine?
Point out her mistake or give her the correct answers. Both of those are the same thing. But is pointing out her mistake like, God, you're stupid, or like pointing out like, no, you fucked up, try again, or is it like, oh my God, you're so dumb, why are you so dumb? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I don't know which ones. Okay, so I feel like, I don't know. I feel like giving her the correct answers, to me, sounds like you're helping her. Like, here, let me show you. Pointing out her mistake could be that way, though. But the way it's worded, point out her mistake is like, oh my God, you fucked up. And correct answers is like, here, let me help you. Like, I don't... The flute is for champagne. The other is for sherry.
Oh, right!
But there are two more. The other is for juice, and the other glass is for dessert wine. The dessert wine glass will only be used during the dessert course. And the juice glass is only used when juice is being served as a course. Otherwise, it's placed next to the water goblet.
I see.
I see Rod staring at me at the corner of his eyes. His lips twitch before he turns back to his sister. It looked like he was about to smile.
What are these for?
Emeline points to the group of forks in front of her. You use those every day, Your Highness. You should know the answer. Emeline points at them as she rattles off names. Dinner fork, fish fork, salad. Correct.
You know so much about etiquette, too! You're really incredible, Spacey. You make a better noblewoman than I do.
Even if I told her I wasn't noble, it's not as if she'd believe me. I just read a lot about all of... I just read a lot about all of these things.
You read and know enough to put them into practice? That's amazing! Especially since you haven't been with us so long, right, Rod?
Rod shrugs. He does not, much to my surprise, disagree.
Perhaps you should be my teacher, Spacey. I can learn so quickly from you.
Emeline quickly straightens out the cutlery. Now that I think about it, I've come to realize that Emeline is much more than she appeared to be. It's probably because I'm forced to spend so much time with her as her maid. She's different. She's flawed and not as conceited and more humble than I had originally thought. Maybe I should try to lend her a hand. I may not be one of your tutors, but if you need help with your lessons, just ask me and I'll do what I can for you. Spacey, I glance at Rod, who's once again wearing that expression of surprise. I shift my attention to Emeline once again. You only have 1 month left to prepare, and as your personal maid, I feel it my responsibility to help you in whatever ways I can.
Spacey.
Emeline wipes her eyes with the back of her hand, and that's when I notice something glistening on her cheeks. Is she crying?
You're extremely kind, Spacey. Thank you. I'll definitely take you up on that offer.
I'm still looking at Emeline when I catch a faint glow coming from the pendant on my chest. What just happened?
Oh, what a pretty necklace you have, Spacey.
Thank you.
Anyway, for now I think the both of us would benefit from some sleep.
After escorting Emeline back to her room, I walk out into the hallway in a daze. What was that light? Seems like you actually managed to obtain your first good deed. I didn't know he was still here. I look down at my pendant, astonished at what I see. A piece of the glass slipper? I gingerly touch the new piece that's hanging next to my existing glass slipper pendant. It is real! You're not too bad after all. Did he just compliment me? What? Rod turns away. Nothing. He walks away, leaving me alone with my thoughts. Tick-tock.
Secrets. Good morning, Your Highness. Would you like to play with us?
You want to play with me?
Yeah, come play with us. We'll all have lots of fun. Well, please, just for a little while. Maybe I can.
Spacey, what are you doing in front of the gates?
Mother. Good morning, Your Majesty.
We were just wondering if the princess wants to come play with us. No. Princess Spacey does not want to play with you.
But Mother, I do.
Enough idle chatter. I must go. It's almost time for your dance lessons.
But...
Spacey, do not make me repeat myself.
Yes, Mother.
It's still dawn when I wake up. As much as I want to continue sleeping, I have no choice but to get up and prepare for the day. The last thing I need is an annoying lecture from the head maid. I've almost become accustomed to waking up this early, even if I do not enjoy it. As soon as my preparations are made, I begin to make my way towards Emeline's room, should she wake early. I'm about halfway there when I hear familiar voices. Standing far ahead of me are Sir Alka and Sir Mithros. Are you sure this is going to work? Have a little faith in me, my friend. Friends. We're not friends. Sir Alka narrows his eyes, then turns abruptly to look at me. Miss Spacey, was it? Sir Mithros? Sir Alka? Have you been eavesdropping, child? He has no reason to be angry at me. They were talking about something confidential. They should not have been openly talking in the hallway. I'm like, I literally just walked around the corner. I'm on my way to Princess Emeline's room, sir. That's why I'm here. I coolly look at Sir Alka, who looks like he's about to pop a vein. Can't help but feel satisfied at his reaction. In just a few steps, he's suddenly looming over me. I've never seen Sir Alka look so angry before. What's going on? Rod's now walking toward us with a scowl on his face. Sir Alka notices this and quickly steps back. There was just a little misunderstanding, Your Highness. Rod glances at me, his eyes narrowing. Great, I'm sure he's going to blame me for this too, even though I did nothing. Oh, how precious he protects us. Much to my surprise, Rod puts himself between me and Sir Alka. Are you alright, Spacey? He's worried about me? I slowly nod. Rod turns back to Sir Alka and Sir Mithros. If you don't have any business with Spacey, I'll be taking her with me. Emeline is already waiting for her. Sir Alka stares at me for a few moments before bowing down to Rod. Of course, Your Highness. Thank you. Rod turns to me again, his expression solemn. Shall we? He walks off before waiting for my reply. I look back at Sir Alka and Sir Mithros one last time before chasing after him. The both of us spend the next few minutes walking in silence. Rod has not said a thing since my encounter with Sir Mithros and Sir Alka. Are you okay? What? He already asked me that before. Is he really that worried? Okay. Do we tell him we're fine? Yeah, no, I'm totes cool. Or do we admit that we are not fine? I feel like... should we be brave? Should we be... Or, okay, oh, wait. Okay, wait a minute. If... This could also be in the context of, I'm fine, it's fine, like, whatever, or, I'm not fine, how dare they speak to me that way, and we could be a bitch about it, and then that just ruins it. Okay, so I'm gonna... Okay, so I feel like could admit, like, weakness, that maybe we're not we're not a heartless bitch. Like, I'm not, that scared me. Or, you know, or I'm fine, could be like, yeah, I'm fine, whatever. I'm fine. We're fine. And we appreciate his help. We're fine. We'll just say it. I'm surprised by the look on Rod's face at my response. His expression is soft, so unlike his usual scowl. Oh my god, Sebby.
Rod here's pretty worried about you, princess.
Rod glares at Sebby, his cheeks tinged pink. Sebby chuckles.
Sorry, Rod. Your thoughts ring so loudly in your mind that I can't help but say them aloud.
This is not the first time Sebby has told me about what Rod is thinking. Rod reaches out and pinches Sebby's face, his scowl returning.
Ow! I'm sorry, okay? But next time, try not to think too loudly.
I imagine maybe Sebby should have a really deep voice. I like the higher pitched voice for him because I can't do a deep voice, but... You said that Emeline was waiting for me. I didn't expect her to be up so early. Where is she? I lied. What? He lied to help me out of that situation? Why are you helping me? Because while you're here, you're my responsibility. I may loathe the role, but I'll still uphold it. No, you kind of like it a little bit now. You like it just a little bit. Besides, you don't need a reason to help someone in need. Help someone in need? I remember Parfait and Delora telling me before that being good often involves helping others who are in need. Now that I've helped you, I'll be taking my leave now. I have fencing lessons to attend. Rod starts to walk off, but then stops and turns back to me. Don't get yourself into more trouble. I won't be there all the time to save you. I glare at him across my arms. I'm not some damsel in distress, your highness. I do not need your help. Rod snorts before turning away from me and walking away. I'd be like, yes, I do. I lied, I do. Okay, you're right, I do. I'm still not a damsel in distress, but I do need your help sometimes. Later that day, I watch Emeline finish her etiquette lessons. I can tell that the teacher is impressed with her progress. Emeline is able to correctly name all the glasses and cutlery. She's not so slow a learner. I'd come here earlier in the day to better teach Emeline about proper dining etiquette. It turns out my lesson was valuable. You have shown great improvement, your highness. I'm glad that you've been so diligent with your studies. No doubt you'll be ready for the ball soon. Emeline smiles, her cheeks turning pink.
Thank you. I wouldn't have done it without the help of a friend.
Emeline glances at me briefly and smiles gently.
I really owe her a lot.
That is wonderful. I'm so glad you have such a dedicated friend, your highness. Friend? Is that really what I am to her? But princesses do not have maids as friends. A royal does not mingle with commoners, especially not with servants. Mother told me that before. Emeline does not treat me as a maid, but she can't possibly think of me as a friend. After the teacher gives Emeline several books to study for the next lesson, she ends the lesson and excuses herself. Emeline approaches me and grasps my hands.
Thank you so much, Spacey! I wouldn't have passed without your help!
All I did was repeat the things your teacher taught you.
But you're different!
I raise an eyebrow at her. Different?
I tend to get nervous in my lessons. My teachers are strict and intimidating. I cave beneath the pressure. But with you, well, I feel more comfortable around you. It's probably because we're almost the same age and your lessons feel more casual. So thank you. I'm very grateful to you.
She looks down at the ground shyly.
I hope it's all right that we're friends.
I furrow my eyebrows at her. Why would you even want to be friends with a maid? You're supposed to be making friends with the nobles, not the servants. Emeline frowns and I can feel her deflate. She walks toward the window and sighs.
I tried. They may not say anything, but I can feel them silently judging me. I wasn't born a princess, and I feel that they judge everything that I do. They think I smile too much, that I'm not regal enough. They feel that I'm too clumsy or too cheerful.
Well, Emeline definitely doesn't act like a noble. I can't say I blame the nobles for being skeptical of her.
Being with them suffocates me. I do my best to act like a princess, but the way they all look at me, it's as if they're waiting for me to make a mistake. Then they'll all have an excuse to jeer at me. Every girl dreams of becoming a princess, and yet this is not my dream. I really just miss being a normal girl. I miss my freedom.
I look at her, thoughtful. I think I can understand what Emeline is feeling. Just like me, she was thrown into a world she's not ready to be a part of. Right now, we have no choice but to fit in. She never wanted my title in the first place, yet I accused her of stealing it. Have you told your mother how you feel? Emeline shakes her head.
No, not the king either. I don't want them to think that I'm ungrateful. That's why I'm trying my best to become accustomed to all of this.
Cross my arms. But you're not happy.
I'm not. Everyone just assumes that I'm happy because I smile a lot.
She barely opens up to anyone, and yet she opened up to me. Had I been given the choice before I was cursed, I would never have listened to her. You should tell them how you feel rather than just keep it to yourself. Otherwise, the stress will continue to accumulate on your shoulders.
I wish I could be more honest with them, I really do. I envy you for being able to speak your mind.
She envies me? Emeline takes a deep breath and sighs. The frown fades with the sigh and is quickly replaced by a fragile smile.
I'm sorry for ranting to you like that. I must have bored you with my story.
I used to get annoyed with her, but now that I've seen this side of her, I suppose she's not as terrible as I had first thought.
Oh, I remember that Mother wanted to see me after my lessons today.
Well, allow me to escort you to the Queen then.
Thank you.
Alright, I'm gonna wrap this. Got a little thing with it. I'm gonna wrap this part up here. I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.